My fiancé's cousin cornered me during the engagement party. He was sweating, drunk, and dead serious. You're not the first guy she's gotten a ring from. Just the first one stupid enough to go through with it. Then he told me the truth, and it changed everything. The night of our engagement party was supposed to feel like a dream. People clapping, toasting, her mom tearing up during speeches. Laughter echoing under those rented fairy lights. Everyone pretending the cheap champagne was vintage. I was surrounded by people I barely knew, her extended family, her coworkers, her old college roommates. And yet the whole time, I had this weird tightness in my chest, like I was watching my life from the outside. Everything was too perfect. Then her cousin, Brent, stumbled out of the back patio door, beer in one hand, tie hanging off his neck like a leash someone forgot to yank. He was sweating hard, pale, eyes bloodshot and locked on me like he was about to deliver a eulogy. "Jake, bro, you got a second?" he slurred. I nodded, thinking he just needed help getting an Uber or a glass of water. Instead, he dragged me toward the back fence, behind the pool where nobody could see us. He kept glancing back at the house, like someone might be following him. Then he turned, leaned in real close, and said, "You're not the first guy she's gotten a ring from. Just the first one stupid enough to go through with it." His breath was warm and sour and dead serious. I laughed for maybe half a second, assuming it was a bad joke. He didn't laugh. "You think I'm playing, man?" he said. "She's done this before. 3 times. Same script. Big party. Diamond ring. Big future. Then poof, guy's gone. She's got a new car, new clothes, new Instagram." He paused, like he wasn't sure if he should keep going. Then he whispered, "She's not who you think she is. Ask her about Cole. Or about Logan. Or Nate. Actually, don't bother. She'll just lie." He patted my shoulder, then dropped his bottle in the grass and stumbled back inside the house like he'd just told me where the body was buried. I stood there in the dark, every hair on my arms stiff. Cole, Logan, Nate. We'd been together for over 2 years. I'd never heard any of those names. The worst part? He didn't sound like he was bluffing. He sounded like someone who knew what it felt like to be part of a cleanup crew. I didn't go back into the party right away. I stood by the fence and tried to figure out if I'd just imagined the whole thing. Then I went in, found her at the center of a crowd, laughing with her friends, glowing with all that energy that made me fall in love with her in the first place. "Hey," I said gently, keeping my tone light. "Your cousin Brent just pulled me aside. Said some weird stuff. Told me to ask about a guy named Cole." She blinked, just for a moment, then laughed. "Jake, Brent is a wreck. He got dumped last week and has been drinking since noon. He probably thinks everyone's his ex at this point." I nodded, let it slide. But that night, after the last guests left, after we loaded up the gift bags and folded tables, after she kissed me goodnight and drifted off, I stayed awake. Because I couldn't shake the look in Brent's eyes. That wasn't the look of a drunk guy trying to stir drama. That was the look of a man who knew I was about to step on a landmine. So I did the thing I told myself I'd never do in a healthy relationship. I checked her old phone. The one she said was just for work. She'd left it charging in her office, screen still active, unlocked. I pulled up her gallery, and there it was. A folder labeled Old Rings. Side note. Yes, I deleted the emoji from the name the second I saw it. Inside, 3 sets of engagement photos. All different men. All shot on beaches, mountain trails, fancy rooftop dinners. All of them kissing her hand. All of them holding rings that looked painfully close to mine. One guy, tall, blonde, slightly scruffy, was standing in the exact same forest trail where I had proposed 6 months ago. Same backdrop. Same pose. Same fake surprise on her face. She had reused the same spot. My stomach turned so hard I nearly dropped the phone. I checked the dates. All 3 albums were from the last 6 years. 6, not 16. I looked back at her sleeping in our bed, and I realized I had no idea who I was engaged to. I couldn't sleep after finding that folder. I just stared at those photos. Different men, same expressions, same captions. "Can't believe I get to marry my best friend. Forever starts now." He did good. Each one copy-pasted from the last, just with a new face. It wasn't just unsettling. It was surgical. I sat in the living room in the dark, listening to her breathe in the next room, scrolling through old metadata on the images, trying to piece together a timeline. She had tried to scrub the details, cropped corners, renamed files, but one image had a date and geotag left on it. It was taken at a resort in the Poconos. 4.5 years ago. The guy was tagged in the original file name, Logan_Winter.jpg. That was the first real name I had. So I did what any normal, terrified, betrayed person would do in the middle of the night. I searched. Not through her phone anymore. Through the internet. I found him. LinkedIn profile. IT consultant. Moved to Denver recently. Still had public Facebook photos up. A few mutual friends. There was a picture of him holding the same woman I was about to marry, in front of a cabin, smiling like he knew what his future looked like. His caption, "Engaged to the girl of my dreams." Dated 3 years before our first date. I waited until morning, created a burner account, and sent a short message. "Hey Logan, you don't know me, but I think we were both engaged to the same woman." I attached a photo of her from our engagement party. He replied an hour later. No words, just a thumbs up. Then, 20 minutes later, I got a new message request. It was longer. "Jake, you must be the new one. I'm not surprised she didn't tell you. She never does. I'm not going to give you a sob story. Just facts. She met me on a work trip. We got engaged fast, too fast. She made me feel like I was the one. Then she asked to add me to her bank account, said it was for planning the honeymoon and future stuff. I said yes. Within 6 months, she had transferred over $26,000 to an emergency investment account. She told me it was to help her dad. Her dad had been dead for years. One day, she said she was flying home to help her sister. She never came back. 2 weeks later, my card got declined. I'm still fixing my credit. Be careful, man. If she hasn't drained you yet, it's because she's still calculating. She doesn't love people. She uses them. At the bottom of the message, he attached a zip folder labeled Proof. Inside were screenshots, text messages, Venmo receipts, emails from banks, a lawyer's letter warning her of small claims court action, and finally a spreadsheet titled Shared Expenses, Jake Style, .xlsx. It was formatted exactly like the one my fiancée had sent me 2 weeks ago. Same formulas, same formatting, same title. She had reused the same budget planning file. That was the first time I felt sick. Like, physically. I wasn't just some guy she moved on from. I was part of a pattern, a blueprint, a recurring role in a movie I didn't audition for. I went back into our shared expense app and did something I hadn't done before. I looked at the audit trail. She had recently added a hidden savings goal. It was labeled Tahiti Dream. Again, I renamed it immediately. Because seriously, enough with the emojis. Inside were dozens of small transfers. $120 here, $60 there. Over $34,000 moved across the last 8 months. She'd been siphoning money while telling me she was tight on rent and couldn't contribute more. I just stared at that number, sitting in a fund I hadn't known existed under my own name. I didn't confront her. I didn't storm into the bedroom and throw open her suitcase. I waited. I printed the email from Logan, printed the Venmo screenshots, compiled every suspicious expense she'd tagged in our shared bank app. Then I texted an old friend, Cam, who now worked at a boutique law firm. I didn't tell him the whole story. Just, "Hey man, can you meet this week? I might need legal eyes on something personal." He replied 5 minutes later. Thursday, lunch, my treat. That night, my fiancée came home with cupcakes. Red velvet, my favorite. She kissed me on the cheek and said, "You're quiet tonight. You nervous about the wedding?" I looked at her face. Her perfect teeth. Her eyes that always told me they were hiding something, even when I didn't know what yet. And I said, "Yeah, a little." By Thursday, I had mapped out a quiet, methodical operation. I wasn't about to confront her with screenshots and moral outrage. That would have ended in lies, deflection, maybe even tears I'd second-guess later. I needed clarity, not closure. So I kept smiling, ate the cupcakes, asked her about linen colors and centerpieces, listened as she complained about her coworker stealing her playlist for their own wedding. And then I went to lunch with Cam. We met at this little Thai place we used to hit back in college. He knew something was up the second I slid into the booth across from him and didn't even glance at the menu. "I'll skip the small talk," I said. "I think I'm being scammed by my fiancée." Cam didn't flinch. He just took a sip of his drink and said, "Tell me everything." I laid it all out. The cousin's warning, the folder of old engagements, the guy in Denver, the matching spreadsheets, the secret savings goal, the 40-something grand floating in an account I technically owned, but had never seen. Cam asked only 2 questions. "Are you legally married yet?" "No." "And is your name on any shared credit lines?" "1. Joint account." But I opened it. He nodded slowly. "You might be lucky." "Might. You got paper trails." "Printed." He leaned back and smiled like a guy about to run a full-court press. "Good. If you're right, and it sounds like you are, this isn't just emotional manipulation. It's calculated financial abuse. And depending on what else we find, potentially fraud." He gave me a short list of what to collect next. Transaction logs. Any contracts she had me sign, prenup drafts, wills. Copies of our wedding vendor deposits. And, if possible, proof she's planning to leave. That night, she told me she had a bridal strategy session with 2 of her friends at a wine bar. Left around 7 p.m., full makeup, new dress. She looked incredible, but I couldn't unsee what I already knew. While she was gone, I checked her office again. Not the phone this time. Her purse. Tucked between receipts and a chewed-up pen was a folded yellow envelope. No seal, just a corner sticking out like it wanted to be found. Inside, a business card. Heavy stock, gold trim, raised lettering. Law Office of R. Peterson, Divorce and Family Asset Planning. On the back, scribbled in her handwriting. Inquiry, spousal claim before October 14th. That was 10 days before our wedding date. I sat down on the floor and just stared at it. I wasn't even married to her yet, and she was already planning the divorce paperwork. Not just planning it, timing it. And suddenly, it all made sense. The savings account. The shifting tone when we talked about joint ownership. The weird way she always avoided conversations about my life insurance. She didn't love me. She didn't even hate me. She saw me as an opportunity. A route. A portfolio. I was the guy before the next phase. The next morning, she made pancakes and danced to music while brushing her teeth. I kissed her goodbye, drove to work, smiled when she texted me a picture of a wedding dress she said was so perfect it made her cry. And then I called Cam. I found something, I told him. She has a lawyer. For after the wedding. There was a long pause. Then he said, Jake, she's not planning a life with you. She's planning a clean detachment. Probably with assets. I asked him if I could cancel the wedding legally without getting hit with all the vendor losses. He said, that depends. Are the contracts under your name? Most. Then yes. But you'll have to act fast. And clean. That afternoon, I started gathering every receipt, every quote, every contract. I called vendors one by one and pretended to be updating the event date. That bought me time to postpone cancellations without alerting her. Then I texted Brent, the cousin, the one who warned me. You said I wasn't the first, but you never said what happened to the last one. He replied with just 5 words. Meet me. No phones. Tonight. Brent didn't take me to a bar, didn't pick a park or a coffee shop or anywhere you could accidentally be seen together. He took me to a self-storage lot 30 minutes outside town. One of those places with rusty unit doors, chain-link fences, and buzzing overhead lights that made you feel like you were already in an interrogation room. We stood between units 418 and 419. He lit a cigarette, took a long drag, and looked like someone who had been waiting years to finally say what he'd rehearsed in his head 100 times. I was engaged to her once, he said. I thought I misheard. To your cousin? He nodded. She's not my cousin by blood. My uncle married her mom when we were teenagers. We didn't grow up together. No shared DNA. No real supervision either. I didn't know what to say. My mouth opened, but nothing useful came out. He laughed bitterly. You think that's bad? Wait. They got together when they were 20. Engaged by 21. Brent dropped out of college to move in with her, work construction to support them while she figured out her brand. That's what she called her failed Etsy store and the 6 months she spent making vision boards. She made me feel like I was the lucky one, he said. Everywhere we went, she was the star. Everyone loved her. She had this way of making you feel like you were part of something big. Something important. But then came the loans. Just for emergencies. Just temporary. Just until the business took off. Brent ended up $14,000 in debt, all under his name, helping her launch a skincare line that never produced a single bottle. Then one morning, she told him she was leaving for a retreat. To reset. To center. She never came back. Brent told his parents what happened. They said he should have known better. That she'd done something similar before. But he didn't listen. Not at first. For a while, he still thought she might come back. And then, he said, voice lowering, Logan messaged me. The guy from Denver. Apparently, Logan had reached out to him after digging through her Instagram comments and finding old tags. They compared notes. Then they found Cole, the third fiancé, who was now married and living in Oregon. That's when they realized she wasn't just impulsive. She was deliberate. She had a pattern. She finds guys with money, or potential for money, gets them to invest in her, emotionally or financially, makes them feel like they're building something together, then vanishes, or escalates it to a breakup that looks mutual. I asked him if anyone ever confronted her, warned others. He shook his head. She's too good, too clean. She doesn't leave messes. She leaves guys second-guessing themselves, and most of them are too embarrassed to say anything. But you knew, I said. You saw me. At the party. He flicked the ash off his cigarette, eyes narrowing. I wanted to say something earlier. Hell, I tried. But then she told me you were different. Said you were stable. Said you were the final piece. I thought maybe, finally, she meant it. He paused. But when I saw her looking through that guy's phone by the patio, some older guy, I don't know, he had a Rolex, I knew. Same trick. She's looking for her next backup plan. She always lines them up before she exits. I felt cold. Not just angry, cold. I thought I was dealing with a cheating fiancé. Someone with commitment issues, maybe a shady past. But this was something else. She was cycling through lives. burning them behind her. Keeping no souvenirs, just results. Brent handed me a flash drive. It's not revenge porn. Don't worry. It's emails, screenshots, messages between all of us, me, Logan, Cole. Proof she's done this. Use it however you want. I asked him what he wanted out of all this. Nothing, he said. I just want her to stop. Before I left, he added something that still haunts me. You know the worst part? She doesn't think she's doing anything wrong. She thinks this is what love is. A transaction. An investment. As I drove home, I kept replaying everything she'd said in the last few months. All the phrases that didn't register as red flags at the time. You should consider life insurance. You know, just in case. When we're married, I'll handle the budgeting. You're too generous. We should open a second account. It's just smart. They weren't relationship talk. They were logistics. A blueprint. By the time I pulled into the driveway, I had a plan. No more waiting. No more hoping I was wrong. I was going to end this. Quietly. Legally. And permanently. The morning after Brent handed me that flash drive, I did two things. I called the venue and told them there was a medical emergency in the family. I drove to a UPS store and opened a private mailbox under a business alias. I had no interest in making a scene. I wasn't trying to go viral or get sympathy from people I barely knew. What I wanted was clean separation. No mess, no trail, no damage to my own name, and no possible leverage left in her hands. Cam helped me structure it like a strategy call, not a breakup. We prepped a cancellation plan, a timeline, and a quiet legal backstep from every shared document she had access to. Vendor by vendor, I walked things back. Not in my name. I left it alone. On my credit card? Canceled or frozen. I kept things looking normal on the surface, intentionally. That was Cam's advice. Don't spook her. Don't tip her off. Keep her close until you control the exit. But something unexpected happened. She started getting twitchy, like she could sense something in the air had shifted. She began misplacing her phone a lot more, leaving it in the open, unlocked, as if testing to see if I'd snoop. She brought up finances constantly. Should we move money to the wedding fund? Or maybe we should refinance your car to make things easier. Things she'd barely cared about before. And then came the kicker. One night, she sat next to me on the couch and said, "If anything ever happened to us, would you still let me have the house?" No lead in. No context. Just that. I played dumb. What do you mean? She smiled. Nothing. I was just thinking. I love this place. I didn't answer. The next morning, I moved the deed into a private trust. But the real blow didn't come from me. It came from her mother. We were 2 weeks out from the wedding when I got an email from her mom, completely out of the blue. Subject line, concerned. No greeting. No signature. Just this. Jake, I don't know what she's told you, but I just saw a charge to our old family card for a venue we used in 2018 for Cole's wedding. I also know she's using your information to apply for something. I don't know what, but it flagged on our mutual mailer last week. I'm sorry. I tried to stay out of it, but I can't watch her do this to someone again. If you need statements from me, I'll send them. Her father would have been disgusted. I sat at my desk reading it over and over. Her own mother had reached out to warn me. That wasn't just a red flag. That was the whole stadium lighting up. I replied, "Thank you. I've been aware for a few weeks. Everything is already in motion. And yes, I may ask for a written statement, depending how far she takes this." Her mother responded 2 minutes later. "Good. You're the first one to see her and not fall apart." That sentence stuck with me. It wasn't about surviving her. It was about staying upright long enough to walk away on your own terms. I went to bed that night calm. Not angry. Not sad. Just certain. The final stage came into focus. I sent out one email to the venue, CCing my lawyer and removing her from the account. Then I wrote a short message. To whom it may concern, please cancel the event scheduled for October 24th. The client, Jake M., is invoking the cancellation clause per Section 7B. All deposits to be forfeited. Remaining balance declined. This cancellation is permanent. Do not communicate with the other party. Thank you. Then I scheduled a delivery. One envelope. Inside, the flash drive. A printed spreadsheet of her hidden savings account movements. A list of canceled contracts. A letter signed by Cam, notarized and sealed. It was addressed to our apartment. But I didn't send it immediately. Because first, I needed to leave. Not when she was home, but while she was out shopping for a wedding dress with her sister. I had the ring. I had the receipts. And now, I had the door code changed. She wouldn't know until she stood in front of it. And by then, she'd already have the envelope in hand. She left at 11:42 a.m. on Saturday. I watched her from across the street, parked behind a construction van like some cliché from a detective movie. But I wasn't waiting for drama. I was waiting for clearance. Her sister pulled up in a white Audi, honked once, and they sped off like they had 1,000 important things to do and $1 million to do it with. They were headed to a boutique that specialized in custom fittings. She'd been talking about it for weeks. Kept saying, I want the first moment you see me in the dress to feel like time stops. Time didn't stop, but I did, right there at the front door of what used to be our place. By 12:10 p.m., I had packed every single thing that belonged to me. I left the furniture, the plates, the art she claimed made us look cultured. She could keep the illusion. What I took were the important things: the lease, my documents, the ring, and the binder of printouts Cam had told me to archive. Everything else I replaced. Passwords, locks, mail forwarding, credit alerts, access codes, even the Wi-Fi. Then I left one thing on the kitchen counter. The envelope. It was heavy, sealed tight. The label said, "For you, before you lie to anyone else." At 12:56 p.m., I walked out, locked the new deadbolt, and dropped my keys in the outgoing mail slot. At 1:27 p.m., the courier arrived. I got the confirmation ping on my phone. Delivery completed. Front door handoff. She got home around 4. I know because the Ring camera I installed in the hallway, one she didn't know about, pinged with motion and recorded everything. The video shows her walking up, shopping bag in hand, still in her bride mode smile. Then she sees the keypad, tries her old code. Again and again. She leans forward, confused. And then the door cracks open because the courier hadn't latched it completely. She steps inside, stops cold. The camera records exactly 1 minute and 38 seconds of silence. Then she picks up the envelope, rips it open, and just stares. She doesn't throw it. She doesn't scream. She just drops into the nearest chair. And then, very slowly, puts her face in her hands. The next morning, I got a text from her. No long monologue. Just 4 words. "You really did it." Followed by a second message. "Please, don't tell anyone." I never responded. She tried again the next day. Then once the day after that. Her sister called me once. I ignored it. Then I got a voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. It was her mom. "I know you don't owe me anything, but for what it's worth, I'm proud of you. I wish I had done something when I first saw it in her. You're free now. Don't let her pull you back." That was the only message I saved. 3 weeks later, a friend told me she posted a vague, teary-eyed story about being betrayed by someone she trusted. I didn't say a word, because there was nothing left to explain. I didn't expose her. I didn't shame her. I didn't ruin her name. I just removed myself from her inventory. And if that's not love, it's the closest I'll ever get to winning it. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day, and trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.